what is going on, my friends? Welcome to today's video. Now, as we know, Lightfall is mere days away, and with Lightfall is coming Strand, the new subclass, and it's going to be absolutely bonkers, I'm sure. Now, you guys know me, I'm a Titan. Everything about me, Titan this, Titan that. So in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what I believe are going to be the best 5 Titan exotics to use in combination with Strand, going off the little information that we know about Strand so far. So the main 2 things that we know about Strand, and specifically the Berserker Titan, is that it's going to have a melee ability that involves 3 charges, and it seems to be quite agile and quite fast. You pop off 3 shots with your melee and it's going to be pretty cool. The other thing that we know is that when you pop your barricade, it's going to send out a wave that is going to suspend combatants, and I think it's also going to do that to PvP players as well, but the effects aren't going to be as severe. Now, the third thing that we need to remember is that our grenade ability can now be replaced with the grapple ability of Strand. So with those 3 things in mind, we're going to talk about 5 exotics that are going to have some pretty good synergy with this subclass. Now, before we get into it, guys, a little reminder from me to you: if you haven't subscribed to this channel and you watch my videos on the regular, my videos are always in your recommended, but you haven't subscribed, I would really love it if you change that today by subscribing. You do me a big favor as we're trying to hit 200,000 subscribers. So for me, the first exotic that I want to pay focus to are the Dune Marchers. Now, you're probably rolling your eyes, really, Dune Marchers again? But the thing is, I believe the Dune March is giving you a speed boost to your sprint speed. It gives you the slide boost. I think those 2 things right off the rip will combine really well with the grapple ability of Strand. Now, there's something else that we actually learned about the grapple ability. When you come out of the grapple ability, you're going to be able to chain a melee straight out of your grapple. And so obviously you'll have linear actuators active whilst you're doing your grapple. And when you come out of it, you'll hit a melee on someone and that will cause chain lightning to occur, doing damage to everyone around you. And then on top of that, you've got 3 melee charges. So we don't even know if, maybe your first melee will activate linear actuators and your second and your third will, potentially allowing you to do 3 chains of lightning, as well as the damage that's obviously going to be activated via the melee ability itself. So you've got the melee ability, you've got the Strand grapple, you've got the increased slide distance, you've got the increased sprint speed, and the chain lightning. All of that would suggest that Dune Marchers will be an S tier choice for Strand. Now, my second recommendation is probably a little bit more versatile and could arguably be good in both PvE and PvP, and that would be Armamentarium. This one's really simple to understand, right? Obviously, our grenade charge is going to be tied to the grapple, and with Armamentarium, you get 2 grenade charges, which means you have 2 grapple charges on Titan. That could really open up some insane movement capabilities and potential through that. So yeah, it's a real simple one, but what's better than being able to grapple through the air once? Being able to grapple through the air twice. And so Armamentarium is definitely one to get leveled up and ready for Lightfall. Now, the third exotic you should really be keeping your eye on is Crest of Alpha Loopy, because that's going to have some fantastic synergy with the wave ability that is tied to your class ability. So when you pop your class ability, it's going to send out a wave in front of you, very similar to how Kepri's Horn works. If you're familiar with that exotic, pop your barricade, it gives you a wave of fire. With Strand Titan, what it's going to do is send out a wave that is going to suspend your opponents in the air. Now, Crest of Alpha Loopy heals you and everyone around you when you pop your class ability. So it's kind of a no-brainer, right? You're in PvE, there's a bunch of mobs in front of you, you and your team are all low on health, you pop the barricade, you get a bump to your health, and you suspend them, and that just has a real clear synergy, doesn't it? Being able to chain the Strand overshield with the Crest of Alpha Loopy health bump and the suspend wave ability, yeah, that is an absolutely obvious synergistic choice. So Crest of Alpha Loopy is definitely one you want to keep your eye on. Now, before we get into my last 2, I want to give some honorable mentions to some that I am not recommending in my top 5, because there's so many Titan exotics, right? So you can't really say for sure which is going to be the best, and that is Heart of Inmost Light. The thing is, there's been so much rumbling and grumbling around Heart of Inmost Light on the PvE side of the game that I kind of think that it might even be getting nerfed. Now, I don't really have much of an opinion on this because I don't really play that much PvE, but I do know that every time a new Titan class comes around, or whether it's a new 3.0 or whatever, Heart of Inmost Light tends to always be a top pick. But I feel like there's a chance it might get nerfed with the launch of Lightfall, so I'm putting it to the side for now. But of course, you can never discount Heart of Inmost Light. The other exotic I wanted to mention that is not going to be in the top 5 is Lion Ramparts. The reason for that is obviously Lion Ramparts gives you the ability to hang out in the air a little bit, gives you increased hip fire from the air, and of course the Strand grapple ability is going to be having you flying through the air. And so it's kind of obvious that, you know, there's some real good synergy there between being able to stay up in the air and being able to use the grapple and all of that. So Lion Rampus is another outside shout for me. Now, going on to the actual final two exotics that I'd recommend, it's probably no surprise that they're both melee-based exotics, because obviously the vast majority of this subclass seems to be based around meleeing. So this one might surprise you a little bit still. It is the Feedback Fence. This Titan exotic basically gives you less damage from incoming melees, and it also discharges damage to the person that's meleeing you. And I think there's going to be absolutely fantastic synergy between this exotic and the 3-charge melee ability that Titan's going to have, right? If you can picture it, you go in for the first melee, you take a melee, that guy takes a bit of damage, your next shot's going to do more damage. The chaining potential between Feedback Fences and the triple melee charge seems to be pretty damn good. So yeah, I think Feedback Fences could be a real good option for the Berserker Titan come Lightfall. Now the final option will probably be no surprise to anyone, but it is the Intercepts, the quintessential Titan melee exotic. It gives you an increase to your melee range, but crucially, I think the most powerful aspect of the Intercepts, aside from the melee range, is the fact that you get a massive increase to your damage when you are surrounded by opponents. Now, like I said, with Feedback Fences, you're going to use that grapple ability and chain into a melee. So especially in PvE, there's going to be a bunch of adds there. You're going to grapple into them. You're going to proc biotic enhancements because you're surrounded. And then you're just going to lay into them with the triple melee ability doing increased damage. And who knows just how much damage we're going to be doing with that melee ability when surrounded. Obviously, we can only speculate at this point because we don't have the damage values of the melee ability. But you can be sure that it's going to be pretty damn good. And of course, there is also the possibility that Intercepts will increase the effective range of each melee charge. We don't know that for sure yet, obviously, until we get our hands on it, but there is a chance that it could work like that. And even if it doesn't, you know, you could go into a charged melee and then you could follow up with an uncharged melee that's going to have way more range than a typical or your average Titan melee ability. And so for that reason, I think Intercepts is going to be an S tier pick for the Berserker Titan. And that brings us to the end of the video, my friends. That is my personal opinion on what the best Titan exotics are going to be for the Berserker Titan. So if you're preparing for Lightfall, it'd be a good idea to get those guys up to top light level, have them ready to go. And yeah, happy fisting, my friends. Lightfall is not far away. I know some of you guys are a little bit disappointed by the design of the Berserker Titan, what with it being so heavily melee based like all the other Titans. However, I do feel the same way as you guys. I really feel especially the super could have just been a ranged super, and that alone would have been okay. You know, you could have the melee abilities in neutral, and then the super itself could have been something different, and I think people would have been complaining way less in that case. However, I do still think it's going to be fun because we have the ability to grapple through the air. We've got a 3-charge melee, which sounds interesting, and we're going to be able to combo stuff together, and there'll probably be some interesting tech that comes out of this subclass, and I'll be the first one to show you all of these little tricks when I get Strand in my hands. So my friends, if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, make sure you do, because we're going to be covering every aspect of Lightfall that you could possibly imagine. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and of course, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.